This is me 10 years ago. I was working as a scientist in an institute and my salary was $500 per month. And this is me now, living in Abu Dhabi in my amazing apartment, spending my days drinking coffee with some of the most powerful investors out there. And let me tell you, it was a hell of a journey to get here, full of ups and downs, a lot of drama. And in this video, I'm going to prove that everything is possible and show how you can change your life by saying yes to life. I don't want to sound cliche, but at school I was a very shy person and I really struggled to make friends. And at the same time, I studied really very good. I was the best student in my class. And this is very weird that right now I'm a person who is actually making money out of communications. And back then I was so bad at that. When people ask me how did I start my career, I always tell the story that my teacher of biology, she came to my school at 6th class and she actually showed me the biological department. She was a professor at biological department at that time as well. And also she brought us to, it was like 2 kilometers out of the city, the laboratory where students were studying Latin names of different plants and animals. And I literally fall in love with this. And when I graduated my university, I met a professor. He was amazing. He was a Man of the Year in 2004 in America because he published so a lot of articles. There is a very important index in science. It calls Hirsch index. So his Hirsch index was 29. And I know that requirements for Nobel Prize laureates is 27. So he was very famous. So he actually encouraged me to fly to my first conferences on science. And my first conference was in Italy. He paid, like the laboratory he was working, he owned the laboratory. They paid tickets for my flights. And then he taught me how to get bursaries. So I remember it was, I think, €300. And it actually helped me to cover all my stay. And so that was an amazing trip. And the next, I think it was in Slovakia and then in UK. And then I remember I fly to Japan. So sometimes I'm sharing with my friends the story that I fly to Japan, that I was sharing my work there. And I gave a speech there. And it is so empowering and it's just so exciting up until right now. So I think it is very important in your life to meet a person who really empowers you and inspires you to do your thing. I think that what helped me actually to be an outstanding student is my built-in feature that is super effective manager. And I actually had it from my childhood. And I think that this professor just helped me to reveal this potential. I remember that I started my day 8 a.m. in the morning and I was cruising all around the city because we had several laboratories in different parts of the city that was like partnership laboratories. And I started my day 8 a.m. at one lab, and then I was driving to measure the different parameters of a cell culture in another lab. And then I was using another facilities in the third lab. So I was doing that all day from 8 a.m. till, let's say, 9 p.m. And my colleagues were working like snails, honestly, because they were like opening doors of labs something around 11 a.m., drinking tea. Then they had a chit chat till like 12 p.m. And then after that, they started actually working for 2-3 hours. So that really helped me to become outstanding. And I think that this feature I brought to my daily routine right now. And I'll share the example. Several weeks ago, me and my partner, we were flying to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And the flight landed 8 p.m. 9 p.m. we had a meeting, the first meeting. And then 12 a.m. we had another meeting that finished at, I think, 3 a.m., something like that, by signing a memorandum of understanding. And that actually was a purpose. We hope that it will happen, and it actually happened. I've been very fortunate to meet the right people at the right time, and you'll see the examples of it later in the video. Thanks to that professor, I not only saw how huge the world is, but finally realized that I can do so much more. Thanks to all the conferences and events we attended, slowly but surely I became more social, more extroverted, But don't think that everything was great. I wasn't making good money. The salary was small, and even though I was winning bursaries pretty constantly, I wouldn't say it a good life. Around that time, I started dancing just for the sake of money. And first it was hard, challenging, but eventually I realized that I can not only dance, but also teach others. And that laid the foundation to my future business, which is a dancing school. Back then, I didn't know it yet that everything that started as a hobby eventually becomes a job for me. Not intentionally, but often just because I find it interesting, and then boom, suddenly I'm making money out of it. At first, I was teaching dancing in different sports clubs, and I remember that I was working in the building where I was living. And after that, people started inviting me to actually give different workshops all around the city where I was living, and also in other cities. And I started participating in different dancing camps all around the world. And I studied at a lot of different choreographers that are doing choreography for Beyonce, Madonna, Lady Gaga. And that at some point I found that I was already teaching in 5 different schools in city where I was living. And I was thinking, why don't I open my own school? So I rented the place and I invited people who I was teaching in all the schools. And then I invited one more teacher, and that's how my first business actually started. That was really very interesting story. And I was trying to do my scientific work from the morning till the evening every single day in the lab. And then in the evening, I was teaching dancing and I was teaching stretching every single day. And I lived like that for 5 years. It was super intense. It was super interesting and super inspiring. And I really loved this chapter of my life. But at some point, I just understood that I need to move forward. At that time, I chose my scientific career. And I directed all the energy and all the time I spent on dancing to my scientific career. And this year, in several months after I cut off my dancing, I finished my PhD in biochemistry. The moment I quit dancing, I understood that I need to grow up my salary because, remember, I was still making $500 per month in scientific lab, and by dancing I was making something around the same amount of money, but just in 2 days. I just imagined the audacity where I came to the CEO of the Neurological Institute where I was working, and I said, I'm ready to quit my job because I don't have enough money. And he said, okay, so how much do you want? And I said, well, I need to make at least $1,000. And he said, okay, no problem. Since that month, you're making $1,000. And I was so shocked because the head of my laboratory, a woman, she was around 60 years old, she was making 700. So I thought that it's impossible, but it was such a huge stretch to actually start this conversation with him, and it led to such an impressive results. So after that, I was still thinking that there is a problem, that scientists are making not a lot of money, and they have so lot of amazing and brilliant ideas out there. And there is another group of people who are entrepreneurs, and they are good at making money, but sometimes these people are not having a lot of good scientific-based ideas. Let's say they are developing very simple applications, or they are building very simple businesses, I would say very boring businesses that are making money. So the idea was that I need to combine 2 groups of people and let them talk together, right? I went to an incubator. This is the place where people with their ideas can come and learn how to actually make it a business. And I brought the idea that I want to help scientists to make more money and to help business to have more interesting ideas for business. I first started organizing different conferences for them. Not conferences, but small meetups. Let's say 20 people in a group, and then I invited business people and invited a speaker, a scientist, or vice versa. And that actually not worked very well because these people, they are from different planets. Then I added another group of people that are developers and mixed them all together. And there is a very famous tool which calls hackathon. This is a event where people are coming together and they're working together from Friday evening till Sunday evening, and then they're creating some prototypes. So I applied this format to a group of scientists and neuroscientists and developers. And I created neurohackathons. I organized a lot of neurohackathons and gathered around 50,000 data scientists in a database. So 50,000 of people participated in my neurohackathons. That brought me to my next step, which is recruitment. Right now, I'm ready to share some drama. After organizing several small hackathons, I think it was something around 500 people participated each hackathon, I decided that I want to organize a huge AI conference, AI One. I was dreaming about organizing this event, and the idea was to bring together again business, scientists, and developers on different stages and let them speak together. So I was talking about this conference with a lot of my friends, and one guy who was a client, he said, okay, let's do it together. I will be your partner. So I invited speakers from 50 different countries, from NASA, from BMW, and from America, from Canada, from Japan. And there were all venture capital funds that are investing in artificial intelligence on one stage. And I was super proud of this event. We had sponsors, but the problem was that because it was my first event ever, I didn't know how to do marketing very well. And let's say to collect 500 data scientists or developers, it's good, I know how to do it, but how to sell tickets to 3,000 people. And that was such a stressful time. I remember that I was crying every single morning on my therapist's couch because people were calling me every single second on my phone, and they were telling me that there is something I need to sort out right now, immediately, because it's a hell. And I was burning the whole week before, like the 1 week before the event itself. And I had a huge cash gap. So the front end was amazing. The conference was amazing. It was very beautiful, in a very beautiful space. There was amazing speakers, but I had a huge cash gap, and I had to sell my apartment to cover this cash gap. So after this conference, I understood that I'm so tired. I burned out my team, and some people were in hospital because it was really very intense. I lost my money and my apartment. And I understood that I really need to go out of my comfort zone and understand that I need to probably build new features like resilience, like consistency, which I didn't have before. So I decided to fly to Dubai. It was my first time to do a skydive jump. It is very scary, right? And it's very risky. And I understood that I really need to do something that I haven't done before to actually, stretch my boundaries, probably. And another thing that I also planned to do is to cross Bosphorus swimming. I started preparing for this cross-continental swimming race. And it took me half a year. Every single day I was training, and then I managed to do this. It's one of my biggest accomplishments up until right now, and I covered it within 1 hour and 16 minutes. So when I came to Dubai, when I did this skydive jump, this day exactly, when I kind of lost everything and I felt like upset, I felt super miserable, and I thought that probably I'm not an entrepreneur, I will never make it. That exact day when I landed in Dubai, I met a person and I closed a deal for $1 million. This person asked me to build an IT department for him. As you already know, because I had a huge database of developers and data scientists, it was super easy for me. And I was managing this project for a year before I understood that I can go even bigger. Coming to Dubai, I decided to organize an event here. And it was a small event at my villa where I was living together with my friends for 40 people. And the event was for CEOs and founders. And there were just 2 CEOs and founders and 38 investors. And that said it all about Dubai ecosystem, because there is a lot of money here and people struggle to find a good, decent startups and ideas. Because I had my background of tech recruiter and I owned a tech recruitment company back then, I understood that I can bring good startups from Europe and from United States, because I was living in the United States and working there, to Middle East and get them funded. So I came to this idea together with my friend. He owns a $40 million venture capital fund. And first I started introducing his portfolio company founders to local investors. And I was just scheduling meetings, and it was super easy for me because I really like to meet new people, to communicate with them. And I really scheduled a lot of interviews for these founders and investors. I understood that it's very easy for me to raise capital to some of my friends who I've been working with previously. So right now I'm introducing startups to investors in the Middle East, and I'm bringing companies from all around the world here and help them to find their own investors. I really love this. I really love what I'm doing right now, because I truly believe that venture capital investors are the R&D team of the world. They are checking a lot of R&D hypotheses using their own money and their own ideas. They fund some of the companies because they want them to be successful. These people are building the world which we are living in. The last story which I can share with you is the story of the startup Codeplay, which I'm working with right now, and I'm helping them to raise their Series A round. I brought the startup founder to the conference LEAP in Riyadh. This is the biggest Saudi Arabia conference in tech industry. It had, I think, 200,000 people on the platform this time. And during this conference, I helped him to sign memorandum of understanding with local partner. And by this agreement, he will get access to 200 schools in Saudi Arabia, and that will bring him extra $10 million revenue per year, minimum. I truly believe that this is very valuable thing, because he really can add a lot of value to the ecosystem, because he is teaching kids how to code. And let's say 10 years ago, different telecom companies, banks, they were not at that scale at tech, because right now all these companies are tech companies. They're not telecom companies anymore. So I think that next generation of people, they really need to have much better skills at coding than we had previously. And that's why I think that Saudi ecosystem will benefit from this agreement, and this company will help Saudi ecosystem thrive. On this high note, thank you everyone for watching. And I really want you to know that it is such an obvious thing that everyone say never give up, but you really need to encourage yourself to do whatever you dream about in this life. And even if you have a situation where you lost everything, your money, your status, your apartment, everything, you need to know that you invested all these years in something that probably is seamlessly for you right now. You were investing in your own skills and your ability to become a better communicator, a better salesperson, a better friend or a better human. And that will definitely lead you to your own success, whatever you define it for yourself. Good luck, and see you again on my podcast by Genia Xasis about venture capital investors, about tech entrepreneurship environment in Middle East, and about how to become a better version of yourself.